So today I'm going to show you guys how to make cucumber pickles, fermented kosher dills. This is actually a recipe of my grandmother Shirley's, and it's a special case of the basic vegetable ferment. Cucumber pickles, or cucumbers in general, have a tendency to get mushy when you ferment them, so we'll have a couple extra steps here to help prevent your cucumbers from being mushy, or your delicious pickles from being mushy. So the ingredients are going to be your pickling cucumbers, and one of the steps to help them from being mushy is to cut off just the very flower end, because there's an enzyme that releases that can help, that can soften the cucumbers. Garlic, a couple cloves of garlic. Dill, this is just some flowering heads of dill, but you could use fronds, a bigger head, or a teaspoon of dried dill, that's fine. We're going to make one 32-ounce mason jar full of pickles today with these ingredients. I've got a couple jalapeno peppers to make them a little bit spicy. You could put more or less hot pepper in as your tastes desire. And non-iodized salt. The other ingredient that we're going to add to keep them extra crispy is grape leaves, which we have a grape tree, or we have a grapevine falling over into our yard, so I've got lots of grape leaves. It's a source of tannin. If you don't have grape leaves accessible, you can use horseradish leaves or cherry leaves or black tea even, just anything that has a lot of tannin in it, and that can also help keep the cucumbers crisp. Okay, show you how we're going to do it. So I chopped off the flower ends of all the cucumbers, and I put all of the ingredients in this jar. I wasn't able to fit this guy, so it'll have to wait for the next batch, but the rest of them are in here. The fatter ones I did slit in half so that they could fit in here better. The smaller ones will stay crisper, but if you only have overgrown ones, they'll fit in too. I put all the seasonings on the bottom, so we've got the halved jalapenos, we've got the smashed garlic, we've got the dill fronds, we've got the grape leaves, and that's just helpful because when they're at the top, sometimes they just bob out of the water and you can't, they don't infuse as well. So simple, just like any of the other ferments. We're really just going to put 1 tablespoon of salt in, like that. We're going to fill it with water to the top. This is just cold tap water. So everything's submerged. And then we're going to put our fermenting lid on. If you don't have any fermenting lids, you can just push something onto here that will make sure that these things stay underwater while they're fermenting. And there's more details on what you can do there in my radish ferment video. But just stick on that fermenting top, and then the third thing that makes the cucumber pickles a special case, the third way that you can ensure that they stay as crisp as possible and they don't get mushy, is to ferment them at as low a temperature as possible, so in the coldest part of your house. Now, of course, in midsummer, the coldest part of my house is about 78 degrees, sometimes as much as 85. They'll still work, but if you have a basement, this is a good time to just stick your cucumbers there, and they'll ferment there, and they will stay more crisp that way. Cucumbers ferment fairly quickly, more like kimchi. I'd start checking them at about 4 days, especially if your house is on the hotter side, and they'll turn from this vivid green color as the salt dissolves and they start fermenting into a much more dull green. This is a batch I made a couple weeks ago. Once it's done, you can just store them in the fridge, which is what I've been doing here. Oh my gosh, I haven't opened these in a while. So some behind the scenes magic, we got it open, great. This is what they'll look like when they're done. They'll be a much more olive green color, and they'll be tangy and delicious. This is a batch that I made just a couple days ago, and you can see it's already sort of partially starting to turn olive green. This is a batch that's just done now, and you can see it's turned all the way olive green. It's probably ready to go. So these, I'm going to switch to the fridge now. You can also make dilly beans with basically this same format. The only thing that you'll be doing differently for dilly beans, they're actually easier than cucumbers. They don't turn mushy as easily. So here's some dilly beans. These ones started with yellow Romano beans, which is why they're still yellow. But you'll do the exact same thing, except for you don't need to add the grape leaves, and you'll ferment them for a little bit longer, so more like 8 days instead of 5. But then you'll have some of the best dilly beans you've ever tried. let me know how it works for you.